Welcome, everybody. We've got 15 minutes. We got a short, tight set, so let's get right into it. I'm Daniel Wallach, founder of Wallach Legal, a gaming law advisory and consultancy. To my right is David Brace, a principal of technology with Continent 8, one of the leading iGaming security companies. So let's get right into it. 15 minutes. Can you identify, at least examine for the audience, what are some of the top-level threats that companies face in the cybersecurity landscape? Because this is a big deal now. We've got daily fantasy, iGaming, online sports betting, skill gaming. Gaming over the internet has proliferated. So how has the threat carried forward, and what kinds of threats do these companies face?
Sure, thank you. I think the most important thing to stress is the historic threats haven't gone away. So the industry has always faced denial of service attacks. It's always faced hacking attacks and things like that. Those haven't gone away, they're still there. The biggest rise we've seen is around social engineering leading to ransomware. The most important thing and the most valuable thing all of your companies have is your player data and your access to your player data. Now, historically, it was a big thing that people would try and hack into you to steal that data and sell it on the black market. But if I ask you the question, how much do you think your personal information is worth? How much do you think I could buy your credit card number for on the internet?
Well, it could be worth, potentially millions if you could steal all of my personal identifiable data, social security numbers, so forth. You could just apply for credit cards, max it out to the limit, steal the value of all of my underlying, credit cards, divert money from my bank account. So depending on one's wherewithal, it could be, modest amount, or it could be in the millions. So.
Yeah, I mean, and you would think that, but if you go on the dark web, as we like to call it, you can buy a verified credit card with somebody's name and address for between $17 and $20 per person. And the reason the value is so low is, financial institutions have got quite good in protecting and stopping people doing exactly what you described. So the value of that credit card is quite low. What's more important to you as an operator, you as a platform provider, anything like that, is you being able to access your data. So the biggest threat now we're facing is ransomware attacks, where somebody gains access to your system, and they will effectively encrypt all of your player data and take that access away from you as an operator. At which point you're effectively dead in the water. So when you receive an email coming through saying, hey, pay me 2 Bitcoin and we'll get you back online instantly. What's 2 Bitcoin now? $150,000? Mm-hmm. That's probably worth it. If you're losing an equivalent amount per minute because you're offline and you're a big sportsbook, that's worth it. So I think ransomware is the biggest thing we have to focus on at the moment. And as I said, hacking in, that vision of somebody in their parents' basement with a mask on hacking into you, that still happens, but that's difficult. The easiest thing to do now is social engineering. It's target your staff on LinkedIn, find your systems administrators, find your mid-level juniors, and socially engineer them and speak to them to get them to give you their user ID and password. That's so much easier than trying to find a vulnerability and hack in. So social engineering leading to ransomware, I'd say that's probably the number one right now.
So we're talking about vulnerability to not only customer data, but to company operating systems themselves. So I have to ask the question, we're reading about all the new legislation for online sports betting. You're reading about the economic benefits, tax rates, licensing fees, market access. Has there been sufficient attention paid to the cybersecurity threat?
I would perhaps say no. So a number of the states have regulation focusing on cybersecurity, but it's very focused on a fixed point in time. It's about having an annual audit or a quarterly audit where on that particular day, your systems are secure, but it doesn't cover the rest of the year. And it's tended towards, with a lot of these legislations, to be slightly prescriptive. It says, you must do this, you must ensure that, where if we look outside our industry at something like financial services or the insurance industry, they use frameworks. So rather than being very prescriptive, they'll use a framework that guides you in your own way to secure your data, secure your player data, and better operate your business. And the advantage of a framework is it doesn't have to be constantly updated when a new technology arrives, a new threat arrives, or anything like that. It can be rolled out and it can be used time and time again. It doesn't have to be constantly updated.
Okay, I want to reiterate. I mean, I've read some of the anecdotal evidence about some of the companies that have been targeted. This is not limited to inadequately staffed startup online gaming companies. Some of the largest, gaming companies in the world have been subjected to cyber attacks, ransomware attacks. I mean, even to this day, without naming names, I mean, some of the creme de la creme of the casino industry, online gaming industry. So whether you're a startup, you're a mature company, over and above the legislation, whatever is mandated, what steps can companies take, regardless of their market size, to address some of these issues and minimize their risk? What types of things should they be doing?
So we have 3 pillars in our cybersecurity practice, and they are people, process, and technology. Now, we're a technology company. Our name is up there, and I'm going to be controversial and say technology is the least important one. Your people, so both your internal staff and your external users, training your people, not only your cybersecurity team and your IT team, it's all of your users to look out for phishing attacks, so emails they don't recognize asking them to download something. We've seen a big rise in, it's a dreadful name, but we call it smishing. So it's where you get a text message purporting to be from your CFO, asking you to send him some bank details, or he's left his corporate credit card at home, can you send me his credit card number? And that kind of training your users to recognize that, it's a constant ongoing practice. And as I referenced earlier, it shouldn't be a one-off thing. It shouldn't be once a year. You should run fire safety drills. You should test your users, and you shouldn't name and shame, but it's an opportunity to re-educate people. And it's got to be the top priority. And just the one other thing was process. That's the second pillar. You should have internal processes that not only allow you to recover in the event of some kind of attack, but also down to the level of training your users what they should do if they receive a suspicious email. Previously, we'd have said, hey, just delete it and ignore it and go along. But now just about every email service provider in the world has a report function. You click a button, report phishing. The advantage with doing that is it goes into the big algorithm that allows us to better identify these new threats coming through. And the more times you report these emails, the better we get at detecting them. So we can reduce the number coming through. So process as well is super important. And technology, but hey, that's boring.
Well, let's talk about people, not just process. Should companies have specific dedicated personnel that are responsible for overseeing the cybersecurity effort and probably more importantly, the investigative and reporting function, because the new rules that have been issued by in Nevada and Massachusetts require a rapid response, reporting the incident within 72 hours, and then, preparing an investigative analysis and making that analysis and investigative report available to regulators. So what type of infrastructure in terms of, org chart and responsibility should companies be thinking about?
Well, in my personal view and looking at the clients we have who do this best, it is somebody at a board level who has this responsibility. And ideally, it would be somebody whose primary job is focused on either compliance or technology, and they should own that. The best customers we have out there report weekly at their weekly board stand-ups. They have a live dashboard of how we're performing on updating our systems, how we're training our users, the number of incidents we've seen, and that is they own that. So having ownership from board level down empowers all of your security teams, your IT teams to be able to take those steps necessary to protect yourself. Because unfortunately, some of them are going to be unpopular with your users. Stopping people opening links or forwarding emails on their mobile phones and that kind of thing. They're going to be unpopular with users, but if there's a valid security reason for doing this, it needs to come from the top down, all the way down.
Okay, should there be regular audits? Is there some type of internal process or standard that should be followed and tested on a continual basis? Because, the downside risk is now if you're not following, the regulations or the statutory requirements, your licensing can be in jeopardy. And I'll mention one company, BetMGM. had their systems attacked. And as a consequence, there were class action lawsuits filed in federal court in the District of New Jersey resulting or arising out of these cyber attacks. So, the investment, the preventative measures taken could really, while costly maybe initially, can eliminate the runaway and unlimited downside economic risk. So, are audits an important part of this?
They are. But I think we're still at the stage that, fintech and financial services was 20, 25 years ago, where it was an annual audit where somebody turned up and for that week you had to make sure everything was in order.
Okay.
We'd recommend a continual process of auditing and evaluation. And the best customers we have in terms of securing their infrastructure, they have subscription services to people who will constantly try to get into their network, will constantly try to convince their users to hand it over. So the best form of audit is a continual one. We call it red teaming, effectively. You pay a subscription to a company that will try to access your network, to highlight the flaws, to highlight some user training issues. And that is far more valuable than once a year getting a bit of paper that says, on the 7th of September, you were secure. That's it.
Okay, well, great. We're in the last minute of our panel, so I'm going to pull the goalie and bring on an extra attacker. So I'm going to ask you the one final takeaway. What should our audience members and companies in the audience, if you could take away one point, one thing from our presentation in thinking about this risk, what do you think it should be?
It's going to be a difficult one for this industry. Everyone's super competitive, but information sharing is the biggest thing. So I've got to do a bit of a plug. We have a threat exchange, which allows our customers to, under Chatham House rules, share information between security professionals. So if you're a VP of security or a CISO or that kind of thing, we have a mechanism for you to share industry threat and intel that's specific to us to enable everyone else to be protected. Because the last thing we want is a big, high-profile incident that causes draconian legislation to come through. So sharing intel is the biggest thing, and you shouldn't be afraid to share at the end of the day. We're all in this together.
Okay, thank you. If you have any questions, David's going to be around for the remainder of the conference. David Brace, the company is Continent 8. I'm Daniel Wallach from Wallach Legal. If you have any questions, we'll be happy to entertain them throughout the day after the panel. Appreciate your attendance and attention, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you.